next thing is, so I was in Uber, catching an Uber once again, like I normally do. Either that, or I was catching it, and I was catching it to a dance class in the morning. I was running late. I think it was after I had like counseling or something, and it was close to the time when we finished. And basically, oh gosh, I'm tired. So basically, and look, I'm hopefully I'm working to get beyond that. Um, and staying underground within this system at play, within this matrix at play. And maybe I have to figure out how to address these things too, within the context of all of this, you know. But back to what I was saying is that this Uber driver, we started talking because he was from an African country. I think that he was from Ghana or maybe East Africa. I don't remember, but I just remember him not being Nigerian. And, you know, we were talking, and I was just talking about how I was disconnected from um, both sides of families from this double identity. So I was disconnected from the Nigerians and African Americans I'm related to. That I don't know that much about my history and where I come from, and that I'm seeking it out now. And you know, he had said, "Oh gosh, you know that is what happened. You know, it's not up to it's not your role to um, talk about who you are. It's your relatives. They're supposed to bring you in. They're supposed to bring you into the fold." And you know, that was so nice to hear because that helped me to see that this feeling of dysfunction that I felt and observed, and the things that my mom kind of was a scapegoat, and that also she never really got to achieve her potential as smart as she was and is. Like you know, that my soul is right in being able to notice that things are not right. That this system has some toxins in it, and that's what I'm gonna say. You know, it was nice to hear someone say that. You know, they should have brought you in. What happened? Something must have happened. You know, why is it that nobody brought you in? Nobody's telling you about yourself in ABC. Like, I can't even tell you the name of my African grandparents. They died in the 19 one died in the 1990s. Another, I don't even know when they died. Okay? I mean, do you understand how painful that is? But God willing, will these puzzles pieces will connect. Is my hope. Is the goal. Um. Okay. So the next thing is, I think this will be the last thing, is that Facebook. What did I say? My mom died first time. So okay. Yeah. Actually, when my mom died, when she was sick and dying, and I have to talk about that too because it's taken me years to start to grieve. But basically, that was the first time that I'd ever seen my Nigerian relatives together, ever. There's no like family reunion, no nothing where people like did stuff together where we were included in it. And I think the first time anything like that happened was like the offer to have a joint funeral, a joint whatever it's called that you do after the funeral. Is it a wake when there's food and things like this? I, I don't even use the term bruh, but I feel like this is the moment. Bruh, that's too late. That should have been happening before a life was lost. And I want to build relationships, but I think first I have to get this poisoned root exposed. And that includes me, which is probably why I want to talk, because it helps to start to heal the poisoned roots. I don't know. That's the goal. You know, perhaps at this age, I'm past the point of healing. I may be calcified at this point. I, in fact, may be stone. Which there are things that I've experienced that show that I am calcified up to a certain point. And so I say that knowing that it's true. Okay, so the last thing is that Facebook Messenger. I have other relatives who are closer in age to me, though I'm older than some of them, but close in age to one of them. And they are from the American South, I'll just say it that way to kind of be vague enough. And we never knew each other really. We only visited from time to time. But as far as forming relationships and knowing them, we kind of lived different lives in different parts of the state. Um, where we grew up in like the bigger city, and they grew up in still a city but a smaller city, and kind of a deeper south in the state of Georgia. And so, I had reached out just hoping that maybe there's something that possibly could still happen, even though it had been years and that we don't really know each other. And I said that in the message, Facebook Messenger, and one person got back to me and connected me with other relatives, one being a grandparent and uncle. But the others, and beyond that one time, they still didn't respond, and the others also just never responded altogether. Even though I had talked to one a few years ago when I was in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia. And, I'm not going to lie, that hurt. It hurt because I wanted to have an ability to know part of who I am and part of the people that I'm related to. So there's just rejection and scapegoating all around me, all around my mom. This is what she experienced. This is what we experience. And the spirit in which my father was birthed, actually, it's the same. It's not the same, actually. It's its own thing, but it's also rejection, abandonment, trauma. So I just kind of want to put that out because I think it's time to call a thing. And there are people on this channel that do a good job of just calling things a thing, and that is a gift. It's a gift to kind of like generally be able to tell your perspective, and even if it's something that is not something that I may always see in the same way, the fact that there's a through line of truth to it for that person, and that means that person doesn't shift. That's a very powerful place to exist in, because that means that you are centered enough to say things whether people agree with it or not. You don't change. And yeah, the experience has shaped. Anyway, I'm just saying that. So let me go. I need to go ahead and get going with the rest of the night, and clean up this messy room. And hopefully I'll see you later. All right, have a good night and get some rest. You and me both. Bye.